there is a natural divide happening right now on Earth, and it's a necessary one. Okay, there are certain beings who have chosen to live a life in the third density reality, or perception of reality, and this is why you can't wake anybody up, because they will awaken in their own time, be it in this lifetime, or maybe it will be in another lifetime, or maybe it will be in 1,000 lifetimes time, if that makes sense. And time's the interesting one because it's infinite, you know. We live in infinity, and we're going through a shedding process right now. And what I realized about, 2012, 2020 as well, 2020 vision, seeing clearly, some people started to see clearly their role in humanity's progression, if that makes sense, and other people don't. Other people are choosing to stay in the frequency of the third density, staying in materialism, staying in war, strife, lack, all of this sorts of things. And then there's the other side of it, which are looking into empowerment and sovereignty and knowing that they are part of a bigger whole, if that makes sense, But no one path is any better or worse than another. It's just subjectively no better or worse. So that's why you can't wake people up, because they will awaken in their own time. If we want to try and awaken them with our ego and saying, you must know what's going on, you have to come on this path, which we've all done. I've tried it in this lifetime. It doesn't work. And it takes things, like in our own lives, usually to fall to pieces. And perceptively, it might seem like it's a negative thing, if that makes sense. But it's not. A lot of the people that I speak to, through the one-on-ones and things, they're curious to awaken. They're curious to go on a separate journey, a different journey, where they're breaking limitations. And I'm still breaking limitations, massively. But for instance, like, when I went through the beginning of my awakening process, it sucked. It was the hardest thing that ever happened to us, if that makes sense, And I'm sure it's similar with you. Everything has to fall away. Everything that you thought you could hold on to, or everything that you thought you knew about reality, starts to break and shift. And I went into a psychosis. And all psychosis is a very ungrounded, and all ungrounded means is you're not in truth in some way. You're confused, you're scared, because when you're in truth, you're liberated, if that makes sense, because you realize that you don't die. You've never died. You have just been a continuation, popping into different bodies and vessels for eons. It's the wrong term because it's all in time. And why I'm saying this is because it's a fundamental aspect to this reality, and that's why certain souls have chosen to not wake up, to stay in unconscious patterning, should we say that, and other people have decided that, okay, I'm now recognizing and seeing these patterns quite clearly, and then from that they're able to break out of the limitation of those patterns. And I'm still breaking patterns now, you know what I mean? It's like the awakening comes in waves. But during that psychosis, I was utterly terrified. I was scared shitless of absolutely everything. I had floods of terror going through my body constantly. Thought God hated me, thought I was going to hell when I die. But there was a little voice at the back of my head that said to me, "You're all right. You're all right." And I was all right, But the painful and necessary part of this journey is the one where you are letting go of old beliefs, and you will lose people on this journey. You know, it's a necessary part of it, and it's not a bad thing. You know, it's not anybody's fault. It's hard at times, it really is. You know, it's like I've been going through quite a lot of hardship recently, and it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to deal with, so I honour you if you're on this path. But what we're really doing is we are awakening to our true inner divinity. We're awakening to the fact that we are one with everything, and that God is everything and everyone, with no, there's no exceptions to that. You know, yes, but what about those beings who are archons, who are playing the roles of, you know, the controllers here and all the rest of it? Yeah, they're God too. They're God too. Because when you really realise that, then all fear drops away, because you realise that nothing can harm you anymore, and you're only ever scared of yourself. You know, you're only ever scared of you, because there is only you here, interacting with itself. And then you start to see God in everything. You know, and there'll still be resistances, as there was today, massively. The day before, really quite in a bit of a tiz was, because the ego mind likes to have some form of reference point with all of this, and when you are on your path, you don't know what it looks like. So it's scary, because then you're letting go of attachments, and attachments really are safety, and safety is what is going to keep the people, or the attachment to safety, or the illusion of safety is going to keep people locked into that third density, with their authority not coming from within themselves but from outside. So it's kind of like the death of the guru, you know, for some who are on this path. And they're the people who I'm speaking to in this video. So if you're watching this video, then more than likely you are one of those people too, who's decided to awaken in this lifetime. So, like, I'm now sat by a lake. I haven't even got the rods in or anything, but I'm just sat in nature. There's a beautiful pops of trees all around me and things. I'm sat here with my little lantern that I used to have in the caravan when we were growing up, and that. It's like from the 80s. I love stuff like that. It's really nice, you know. I don't know what the reason behind this video is, other than to let you know that everything's alright. Even if it appears like it's going fucking A1 shit crazy out there in the world, it has to fall into complete chaos, you know. For those to awaken, it's uncomfortable, because your soul came here for the discomfort. It didn't come here for the comfort, you know. And that's why it's impartial to who this affects. You know, you can be a billionaire and still be massively unhappy. You know, you can have all of the wants and material things, but they won't make you happy. You know, they never will. It's impossible. They can make you more contented, but ultimately, if you are still ungrounded and not in truth in some way, shape or form, then you will still be suffering. And a lot of what people call as success in this world isn't success at all. It's just a continuation of suffering, masked as, oh, I'm doing really well for myself and all the rest of it. You know, it's like, I don't have a lot. I have like £100 in my account right now. You know, I'm sleeping in a tent, but I'm contented here, because I can hear the birds. I can wake up in the morning and I've just seen 2 deer over there, you know, galloping together, a mother and a daughter. Well, I'm guessing so. But like, nature is where it's at, because when you're in nature, you feel grounded, you feel calm, you feel centered. Maybe not everybody, you know, people who've grown up in cities who've never known this stuff, but it's one of the best medicines that we have on earth right now, is getting out and doing nothing. Doing nothing. But the hustle and grind culture is still there, you know. Doing doing all the time. And I'm in this place where I'm going like, do I still need to do, or do I just need to be and trust and not control it with my ego and let the divine play it out? Because that's what I was most terrified of at the start of my awakening. I was like, fuck, like, this is fucked, you know, this is fucked. And now I see the reason behind all of it, you know. I see why the world is going into seeming chaos. I see why all of these things are being disclosed. I see why certain injections were there. It's to awaken people, and each step and each bit of chaos that seems to be a critical point in it is another stage of the awakening. And if you're not choosing to look at it and to see it, then you will resist it and you will create suffering in your life. So anyway, good night everybody. I love yous.